Welcome back guys to another special day diving off Aiua, which is a remote island in the Kingdom of Tonga. In this episode, Tilly, one of the whale swim guides, and I head out for the morning with some local fishermen, with the goal of spearing them some different species, as they had mentioned to Tilly that they were tired of catching and eating skipjack tuna, which is the main fish that the locals eat on the island. So I was pretty much told by them to just shoot anything that moves. For the first hour, I was hoping to get them a pelagic fish that wasn't a skippy. Either a wahoo or dogtooth would have been nice. This was the exact same spot for my last video, where it was going off, but unfortunately this morning it wasn't, which was quite disappointing. Tilly however did manage to shoot a barracuda, which was a start. So we decided to move spots and try and get some reef fish, to make sure we had something and it wasn't a waste of their time taking us out. It was once again pretty quiet, with nothing really around that was worth shooting in my opinion. I was certainly starting to feel the pressure to at least get them something, so I opted to shoot this surgeonfish. After seeing not much else, I came across this large cave from the surface, which looked promising, so headed down to have a suss, hoping to maybe pick up a GT. But as I poked my head in, I spotted this groper just sitting there. The cave was massive though, so the fish didn't look that big at first glance, and I estimated it to be around 25 kilos. But boy, was I wrong. I surfaced to tell the guys that I found a groper and was told to go straight back down and shoot it. And normally I wouldn't even consider taking a fish like this, but given the circumstance and situation, I was happy to, as I knew the fish would be fully utilised by the village. So I did a few more dives on this cave, but unfortunately I couldn't find the fish again. The cave was at 24 meters, so it wasn't a depth I could just bomb down to, so I was actually wasting a lot of time between dives breathing up on the surface where I could have been shooting other fish instead. Anyway, after a while of fluffing around, I made the decision to do one last dive on the cave. And boom, there he was. I quickly swam in to close the gap, knowing this would be my last chance. I managed to get a shot in the fish, and on the way up, all I could think about was how hard it was going to be to extract at this depth. Tilly went down straight away to investigate, but couldn't see it at all.
You see it? He went all the way back in the cave.
I made sure to keep as much tension on the line to try and ensure that it wouldn't go further back into the cave, and also hoping that it would somehow swim out on its own. Which it did a bit, and I was able to get some reel in, but to no surprise, the line went tight, and I knew I would have to dive back down if I wanted to get down. So back down I went with Tilly's gun this time, and I was very conscious that I would need to get a perfect second shot, as we had no other guns on the boat with us. He had no reel in his gun, so I had to attach it straight to my belt reel, which is now something I'm quite hesitant to do, after shooting a big mahi a few weeks prior to this day, with a breakaway setup only attached to my belt reel, which I definitely learnt a lot from. Anyway, I followed my line down, and as expected, the fish had wrapped itself up. But fortunately, the fish hadn't really swum further back into the cave, but was sitting close to one of the many other entrances, and I could get a shot into it, finishing the job.
I shot him in the head again. I reckon what I'm going to have to do is cut the line on the other gun, and he's all through the cave.
In order to pull the fish out, I knew I would have to cut the line for my first shot, as it was all wrapped up through the cave. Tilly went down and gave the fish a bit of a push, and it finally came out. But although the fish was free, I had to now pull up this behemoth while trying not to pull myself down, as it weighed more than me.
Want to call over the boat?
And as I was pulling it up, the fish just kept getting bigger and bigger, which is the complete opposite of what usually happens when pulling fish up. Normally they shrink. Eventually I got to the surface, but now the next challenge was getting it onto the boat.
it up. Want to put on the tail?
The local fishermen were in awe and stoked, and even I was a bit shocked too, and didn't know how to feel about it all, as I didn't think it was that big. I felt a bit bad, but they assured me it was all good, and that grouper is one of their favourite fish to eat, as it's a very rare catch for them. You have to remember that they live on a remote island, and don't have the luxury that many of us have, just to pop down to the shops and buy meat. Anyway, the fish was cut up and shared with the village that day, and everyone was happy, which made me feel better about it all. I would have loved to see them preparing and eating the fish, but unfortunately, I was leaving the island the following morning, so I had to pack that afternoon. I hope you enjoyed the short episode, and if you did, I'd really appreciate if you could give it a like and even leave a comment, as it really does help motivate me to keep on editing, as I've got hours upon hours of footage I'm slowly trying to get through.